Hi guys, my name is Taylor Ferber. I was just interviewed by Keith Andrew, and let me tell you, I loved every minute of it. I love what he's doing. I love what he is all about, proving that, disabilities don't have to hold you back. You can go for your dreams and go after your passion and living your life, which I'm all about, and I can't wait for you to watch it.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keith Andrew, and welcome to the Keith Andrew Network. Today, we have Taylor Ferber on the show. That is right, the beautiful and talented Taylor Ferber. And this was episode 792. Following is brought to you by Life of a Fighter. If you're into fitness, you're in the life of a fighter. Also, it's brought to you by 8-Speed Gibson. 8-Speed Gibson of the X Zone. Get in the zone. And with that being said, everyone's favorite question, what can you tell us about yourself when we come back? Thank you. So the first question I want to ask you is, what can you tell us about yourself and a little about your background?
Sure, Keith. Well, my name is Taylor Ferber. I was a red carpet reporter in Hollywood for 5 years, and I've turned that experience now into a podcast. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Perfect timing, right? My aunt just called me. I'm sorry. And go figure, I never get phone calls. So my family must have a sensor when I started to sit down with you, Keith. So I was red carpet reporter in Hollywood, and I've parlayed that now into a really fun and sexy podcast called Cancel Me Baby, where I really sort of like provoke the PC culture, and I use my experience meeting celebrities and being in Hollywood to talk about pop culture in like a really raw, honest way that I think people are like afraid to talk about but agree with. So it's really fun.
Hey, if you're interested, maybe we can cross promote.
Yeah.
Any other ideas? No, absolutely. That's what it's about. It's cross promoting. You help me, I help you. But the other thing, you're in the entertainment world as a news personality. But I want to ask you, because I'm looking on the outside in and you're the inside looking out. Mm-hmm. What is your honest opinion about what I've been doing? Do you think I can change things up? Do you think I'm on the right track? As a news personality, what is your honest opinion?
I think, before we actually started recording, you and I were talking about how much passion you have. You said you've been doing this for 8 years. And I think that's key. And that's something that can't be taught. The fact that you have a passion to do this. And you even said to me, I'm going to do this till the day I die. And I think that we're in a world where I talk about this a lot, where everybody wants us to fit in, to go get a 9-to-5 job, to go get a corporate job. And I feel like if you just follow what you're doing and do what you're doing, like you're golden right there, because that's your passion, and you can't be bought nor sold.
No, I agree 100%. My dad thinks this is just a hobby. And like you said, the 9-to-5 job, I used to do that, but I'm like, yeah, it's good to have money, but it doesn't make me happy. I can't be myself. And I mean, you can be yourself to a certain extent, but at the same time, you're kind of like, yeah, I can, but I can't be this, go Rancy, go Bunsy, go guy. And then like, okay, I'm just a cashier.
But life is too short. Life's too short.
No, I agree. Now, the first question I want to ask you, well, I asked you the first one. But going back to the first one, who influenced you to become a news personality, and how many years have you been going on?
Yeah, well, I studied broadcast journalism in Penn State. And then I've been doing this for almost a decade. I'm really inspired by the rule breakers, the Howard Sterns, and, I say this all the time, like, I don't feel like there's a woman who's done this, and hopefully I'm that woman, but I love the Joe Rogans, the people who really aren't afraid to go there and be the I don't know, the culture, the big voices in culture, even Oprah. God, who doesn't look up to Oprah?
She's nice, and I haven't met her, but I heard stories.
I have met her, and I am every time I meet her, I'm just like, ugh. I talk about this in my new episode of my podcast. Like she just has that warmth and like touches your hand and looks into your eyes. And I say like, that's why she's so successful. And one of my friends who was another red carpet reporter always used to joke with me, and he calls me the white Oprah. And I'm like, that's the highest compliment I could ever get. Thank you. So.
Well, it's funny you should mention red carpet. Now, for an example, if I want to follow in your footsteps, and I do, but I don't want to be a carbon copy like you. I like to be myself. But if I want to follow in your footsteps, how would I go about that? Like, take us through the entire career. What was step number one? And we can take it from there.
Funny enough, Keith, it has been like the non-plan plan. It's been so twists and turns and things that just bring you from one thing to the next. So I'm so not a planner. I started in New York as a producer. I moved my way into the editorial side, interviewing celebrities, and I knew I wanted to go to Hollywood. So I basically told my boss, I'm going to go to Hollywood and I'll still work for you. So I transferred, and I just sort of took the leap. I was there. I knew I wanted to do red carpets at the time. I looked up to people like Juliana Rancic, that whole thing, which ultimately ended up not being my thing. But I just sort of took the leap. I quit my full-time job, and then things just sort of fell into my lap. I started freelancing for Us Weekly, a site called Bustle. And then next thing you knew, it just one thing after the other. I started traveling to movie sets for Fandango. I started doing work for Playboy, and it just sort of spiraled. I created my own site where I interviewed celebrities on a selfie stick. And here I am now doing, kind of like doing a departure from all that and doing my show. So I just feel like it's been one risk and one unknown kind of adventure after the other. So if I would have to give advice, it would kind of be honestly it's hard to do it from far away. You kind of have to like be in there and like be in the scene. And then next thing you know, things just kind of unfold and really take that risk.
So pretty much if you want it, you have to jump into it.
100%. It's not like an in or an out thing. You have to kind of be all in.
No, I agree with you 100%. For me, this pandemic, well, let me ask you this question first. Have you felt, to me anyway, this pandemic felt like it took a giant, and it's PG-13, this pandemic took a huge shit on everything. But at the same time, let's look at it like this. I don't work anyway, and my passion is to meet people and do my interviews. So me, without getting sick, it's kind of like a wet blanket dream. So I get to do what I want to do, but at the same time, I miss going to the mall. I miss going out and all this fun stuff. For you, you're used to being out in the public and in the center of attention, so you're dealing with more of I'd say a headache than for the most part. How have you been handling the pandemic?
I wish I was doing better. I'd like to think I'm making the best of it, but you hit the nail on the head. I was in an environment in a career where I was constantly meeting, sometimes dozens of new people a day. I was in different venues. I was, talking to people about their lives, people from all different walks of life. So to go from that to literally, Keith, like being trapped in my parents' house in suburbia has been a total 180. But I try to really I'm a very call it hippie or whatever, but I'm a very spiritual, everything happens for a reason person. And so when I get down and out, I try to look at the bright side. And that's that I'm really working on my craft and finding my voice and getting stronger and better at being a host and all of that. Like every single, I feel like I'm getting stronger every single time. So I kind of look at it, what you said, it's like, hey, it's not the best scenario, but what a blessing to have this time to work on your craft and to do it in a place where you're safe and comfortable and everything. So I try to look at it like that as much as it hurts.
No, I agree. If you don't mind me for asking, you said you live at home now with your family, right?
Temporarily, I'm staying here, yeah, because Hollywood shut down. And I kind of was like, what is the point of me staying here? There's nothing. It was completely shut. And I just was like, I'm gonna be throwing away money to stay here. And there's virtually nothing, So temporarily I'm here, yeah.
I can relate. I'm probably not going to leave this house for a while. But, my siblings are like, Keith, we love you. Okay, if I'm lucky, they say that. But like, I don't know if we can do this Keith for another year. I end up sort of strangling them.
Right.
I have poor mannerisms. And okay, sometimes I do things, I admit this, I do things to get a reaction out of people. But okay, I'm an asshole. But there's sometimes where I'm just.
At least you can admit it, Keith.
It's true. It's always good to admit it. But there's times where I'm just being myself. And some people say, okay, Keith, we know you have a disability. You can't, help it. But there's times where I'm being myself. It's like he's purposely getting a rise out of you. And I'm looking at, my whoever. I'm like, I'm not freaking doing anything. I'm just being myself. It's like, that's the problem. You're being yourself. But hey, I'm not perfect. I have problems.
Listen, it's so much togetherness that it's like not normal. I mean, I've talked about this with friends who are staying with parents. And I feel like recently, because we just hit the 1 year mark, everyone kind of collectively hit a breaking point. Like I know I fought with my parents, my friends fought with their parents. So it's just not normal. And I'm curious, Keith, what is your disability?
I wish I had $1 for every time someone asked me that. I'm pretty much like you. Only I learn at a slower pace. And because I learn at a slower pace, I'm on the spectrum of being retarded. Now, I'm not saying that I'm retarded. I'm saying I fall under the category that I could pass for it, I guess. And that's a nice way if you want to say it. But I give you an example. You read like a script. I'm trying to read a script. For me, I have to go over it about 3-4 times. Once I get used to it, I mean, like, just do one of those. I don't need it. But I'm kind of like spare the moment. But I process things at a slower pace. And because I process things at a slower pace, therefore I read and learn at a middle school to kind of high school level. So yeah, that's a long story short. So I'm like you're a 10. I'm more like a 7. Only it's you're gonna learn, okay, we're gonna do this. Perfect. For me, if I keep we're gonna do this. Can you explain it? Okay. Can you show me? Okay. Can you do this? Okay. I'm like, at the time you're done with me, it's like, Jesus Christ, I can get somebody else to do this. But if you're patient with me, I will learn it over time. The problem is I haven't met people who are patient enough.
Can I ask you, Keith, because you said the word retarded, is that offensive to you?
No, not really. I heard it all my life, so that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I know I was on a Manhattan neighborhood of broadcast, and it's on my website, and he even said the word retarded, it's not politically correct.
Yeah.
And for people out there, of course, it's not politically correct. But I heard that word all my life growing up. So for me, I kind of tune it out after a while. Mm-hmm. So anyway, this is not about me. This is about you. But we're going to take a quick commercial break.
You're more interesting, Keith.
No, I appreciate that. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back from the break, we're going to ask you about social media. How do you work with people with disabilities? And then I'm going to pass the show over to you when we come back.
Awesome.
Hi, it's Mimi Chen.
Hi, my name is Ellen George.
It's Shauna Todd.
Hey guys, I'm Anastasia Edwards.
Hi, this is Jackie Nunez.
Hi, I'm Millie Rose.
Hey guys, I'm Alexandria Denise, and you're watching Keith Andrews Show. He's doing a terrific job. Make sure you like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the commercial break. The following, it's brought to you by HB Gibson. of the hit show, The X Zone, available on the KeithAndrewNetWork.com and available on YouTube. Also, the following is brought to you by Life of a Fighter. And if you're into fitness, you're in Life of a Fighter. Now, I usually say this for the beginning episodes, but to be honest, after doing 792 episodes, I don't like repeating myself like a broken record. A lot of people in my family tell me I don't shut up, so I try to skip this part. But for you, I'll make it an exception. For people who want to know what my talk show is about, whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities. Never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are, who you're going to be. So prove to them it's them out to something. So hashtag break the labels. With that being said, you asked me a question off the air. I have interviewed actors, actresses, models, CEOs, professional wrestlers, teasers, dancers, people with disabilities, people without disabilities. You do not have to have a disability to be on my show. If I come across you, and I like what I read, well, try to read anyway, but if I like what I read and I like what I see, I like to extend my hand to you in friendship, tell you my story, make a new friend out of it. So thanks to you, officially, we did 792 episodes. And
so amazing what you're doing. And you said, I don't want to be repetitive, 792 episodes. I mean, I'm on 57. I'm on episode 57 of Cancel Me Baby. So I got 700 and change to catch up with you. So, hats off to you. You're really doing it. And you should be really proud. You should be really proud.
I really am.
I really love what you're doing.
Thank you so much. And if you're, not to put you on the spot, maybe you would like to have me as a guest.
Yeah. I'm already planning on putting this. This is going to go all over Instagram. So I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
No, absolutely. And you really want to fire me up. You were supposed to be episode 1 in the 1000s. Let me explain that. Made a promise myself I want to bring it up because you can't change the past. If you're interested in hearing the story.
Sure.
When I first started my talk show, don't ask me why so stupid on my part. I was doing phone interviews. So I did 72 phone interviews, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm still having panic attacks and social anxieties. I'm talking to a damn phone. Why am I getting so worked up? And people are like, you have this great format. Why aren't you big or bigger when you portray yourself to be? Why don't you have sponsors? Why don't you have this? Oh, would you like to help me with that? No, if you can't do it yourself, it's not meant to be. All right, thanks a lot, asshole. Of course, I didn't say that to them. I said it after I hung up the phone. But my grandfather, if he gave you his word was his bond. So I took people at their word, and I did 352 episodes before the permission forms. And little by little, and people are like, yeah, my agent said, my publicist said, you ask a lot of stupid questions. My agent says I can't get this TV role because I was on your talk show. A lot of people I want to work with is saying they don't want to work with me because they thought your show was degrading. This all this stupid BS. My favorite, by the way, I'm being sarcastic. My favorite, yeah, Keith. I'm not getting any interviews, and my show's been on your website for 4 years, and I haven't gotten any views. And that's not my favorite. My favorite is, yeah, I really need to take down the show because I'm getting death threats. Death threats. No one knows who the hell you are.
Take it where the sun don't shine, pal. I'm not buying it.
No, absolutely. So I said, screw it. Took everything down because at the time I'm a big wrestling fan. I like the Keith Andrew Network presents Uncensored because, WrestleMania, Hershey's, the Snickers presents WrestleMania. I'm like, okay, I can do that too. Long story short. So I took it down. I said, Keith Andrew Network, period. I'm paying for the name. So thanks to you, we're officially up to 792. But if you want to count the 352 episodes and the audio one, 72, yes, if I did it right the first time and had permission forms, I would be like, nope, sorry, you signed the form. But I didn't. That was my biggest mistake, was the permission forms.
You're on it, Keith, because when you sent me the permission form, I was like, I need to start doing this. Like, you're not messing around. I'm like, I got to take a page out of Keith's book because I haven't done that. So that's smart.
I agree. And a lot of people say to me, I was on this talk show and I was on like Fox News and everything.
Right.
Just trying to make you laugh. And it's like, and everything. They never once told me. I felt like I was still talking to Trump. They never once told me I had to sign a form. No one has ever asked me to sign a form. And granted, if you're on Fox News and CNN, you have to sign a waiver because they won't put you on TV if you don't sign a waiver, number one. And number two, it's kind of like, what's the big deal? It's not like you have anything to hide, but anyway.
I'm used to it. Yeah, totally. I'm used to it now. I was actually on Fox News in September, and I think that I did sign a thing then, but again, it all blurs together. Being in Hollywood, all of the NDAs I've signed.
Yeah.
I've appeared on so many reality shows, like if they're filming Real Housewives and you're in the background. So at this point, I'm just like, give me the dotted line. Go ahead.
No,
sign my soul away.
And there's a couple other wrestlers too. It's like, dude, I said I'll do your podcast, but it's up to you. You want me to curse or not, or that's completely up to you?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yes.
If you can curse?
Yes.
I curse all the time on my show. I'm actually trying to be a lady right now and not.
Likewise. All right, so I'm going to keep it PG. This guy's like, dude, you keep sending me these blanket forms. I do podcasts all the time, and they never give me a hard time about these stupid permission forms. So like, well, a lawyer told me, get a permission form. And the form you signed up was written by a lawyer. I don't take credit for that.
That's smart. That's smart.
No, it is really smart. I wish I did it from the beginning. But I'm going to pass the show over to you. I rambled on long enough, but I do have a couple questions for you off the air. The first one I want to ask you is, besides me, have you worked with people with disabilities and social media? With everything that you accomplish in your life, do you give thanks to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram for every opportunity that you ever gotten?
Oh man. Well, your first question, and it's funny you bring this up, Keith, because I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I don't make money off my show, but I was thinking that I want to start potentially allowing viewers to donate to an organization that's really close to my heart. It's called Thon. And not thong with a G, no, Thon. It's short for marathon. And it was from when I went to college at Penn State, and it's this 48-hour dance marathon, and it raises money for kids with cancer, for pediatric cancer. Now, that's not to say that all of them were kids with disabilities, but some were. And of course, because of their illness, or it was any terminal illness, not just cancer. Some were impaired, some were disabled, and it just will change your whole view on life because they're so hopeful and they're so excited about life. And I've been thinking lately, how cool would it be if every episode, if a listener could donate, however much, $2, $5, and I could give it right to them. So that's something I've been thinking about a lot. And your second question about
social media.
I have a love-hate relationship with social media because look, I love that it allows me to connect with people. I have listeners from all around the world, from Hollywood and I have loyal listeners in Canada and in the UK, like everywhere. And I love that. I would never be able to do that without social media, but I hate that it is so toxic. I hate, especially we talked about the pandemic. I've talked to so many friends who say, I already am feeling bad about my life. I wake up, look on Instagram and see somebody, on vacation or on a boat or doing, having a photo shoot for their business. And it just makes me feel really crappy. And that's the part that really upsets me. It's like, it's so toxic because it's such an easy environment for us to compare ourselves to other people. So I don't know. And I talk about, the Twitter mob a lot on my show and how awful they treat people. So I definitely, I have a love-hate with it for sure.
No, I mean, Facebook, I agree with you. There's times where I'm like, I'm done with it. I have two Facebooks, my main one and my throwaway account. And at the time I'm like, you know what? I'm done with my throwaway account. I'm just going to focus on Instagram and LinkedIn. Sorry, trying to catch my breath. And I used to do like a Today in History. I used to promote my old episodes. Now my stupid phone is saying add a memory. I need to update my phone. But it's kind of like, oh, I need this picture. Oh, crap. I have to go back to Facebook. Then I have to re-download the application and send it to myself. So it's more of a hassle than anything. But you take it or leave it. But wrapping up your show, last question I want to ask you is, when I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what was your honest opinion and how do you feel now?
I was excited. And now after meeting you and seeing what you're about, I'm 10 times more excited. I can't wait to share this. And, Keith, something I talk about a lot on my show is when people will make themselves victims. And I talk about women a lot, women make themselves victims and say that men, oppress them, etc. And what I love about you is you own the fact that, I have a disability, but it's not going to make me a victim. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it for 8 years. I'm going to keep, showing people it can be done. And I think that is so amazing. And I love that. I'm all about that. And I'm just so excited that you asked me to connect, and I can't wait to follow what you do even more. So I was excited, and now I'm even like more thrilled. I feel more even, personally tied to it. So.
Well, absolutely. Now I have a couple questions for you off the air. About wrapping up your interview segment. It's a real honor and privilege having me as a guest, and I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road.